Welcome to the channel, guys. This is a video on sequence in MS Excel, and we'll just get into the examples and understand its usefulness, how it can be useful to you. So as you see, sequence, right? Look at the syntax that we have. That's a row, that's a mandatory parameter, and then the column, that's an optional parameter. Because why you must bring y, because if you look at the curly braces determines and in a way to represent this an optional parameter. Okay, so we'll just do look at how it behaves. So sequence, and then just press tab. We don't do anything, just set in. Okay, because others are optional parameter. We see what happens. Okay, yeah. So you got my point, right? You just say how many rows you wanted, and okay, now we'll tweak it a bit. I'm saying 2 columns. We'll go one by one here. 2 columns. Okay, so that also does a wonder. We'll now tweak a bit just to see what happens in other scenario. Okay, now pick one. Okay, and then make it 3 here, and then we put a date column. But now you see that's a problem with the business. Not a problem, you can go here, and this is sort date. Okay, so what we did here to understand that, we said how many row 1, how many column 3. Now make it maybe 10 here, just see what happens. Okay, yeah, what we did, we said 10 rows. Of course, with the date you're gonna just go there and convert to a date. I'm just converting, you can also do that. So just understand this. Okay, so we're saying 10 rows 3 columns. Yeah, where do you want it to start it? Today's date, right? This one. Yeah. So you got my point, right? It started with today, 26, 27, and a step of 1. That's a star, right? Yeah. So this is a row, this is column 3, and what was the starting point today, and the step 1. So I'm saying increase by 1. Maybe let's see, make it here 5 days. Let's see what happens after 26. That's essentially, after 26, what will be the 5 days? And it's going to 3. So that way it can be a very extremely useful function. Now to just see one more variant. So many a case, right, we need to have sequence. So there are many ways to do that. You might say I'll go to insert and then insert this step, right, one by one, and fill, right? You can also do that, right? Yeah, just a series. Okay, it's a columns, and I say rows. Okay, step value 1. You don't have a stop value, maybe 150. Okay, there's one other way to do that, but I'm just showcasing it, and then you understand why I'll choose sequence maybe. Okay, so that's the one way to do that, making a step. Okay, fill the series. But I'm not interested there. What I'll do here, I'll put a sequence. And what I'll do, I only want to have a sequence where there is a value in the column B. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll count a, most of would probably know count a. I'm just saying only, only if this has a value, right? What would be the value? That's a B2. But now let's pick this one. I just wanted to close the bracket, and you understand what I'm talking about, right? So that way you can take advantage of this one. Right? You can also put sequence within sequence here, but keep in mind the only thing we are gonna in mind that you have to adhere to the syntax here. Right? The row, number of row, columns, how many columns, and then the start points. For example, the one we had for here, right? Today's date, and the step, how much in could. For example, I'll keep this one. That's a count 1. Column 1, let me just make it column 1. Yeah, and then what is start? A start will say maybe but this is already have that sequence. That doesn't make sense, but let me just see what happens. Okay, that's basically how many parameter we give him the row parameter, how many rows. That's not required. Now only one column is also fine, but we'll say start make it as a 10, make it step as a 2. Okay, total 4 parameters required. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so I got my point, right? So we started with the 10 step of 2. So that way you can tweak based on what's required out of that. Hope this was useful. Thank you for being here.